Hey everyone. In this video, I wanted to share with you a few reasons why you should be careful dating someone who doesn't know themselves well. So what I mean by them not knowing themselves well basically means somebody who hasn't spent the time to get to know who they are, what they bring to the table, figure out what they want in life, and one of the big things with that is figuring out what they want in a partner. So to jump right into this first reason why you should be careful dating people like this, it's simply because it will be difficult to satisfy them. If they haven't spent the time to figure out what it is that they want, then how are you meant to satisfy them? Because they don't even know what the heck they want, right? So how are you supposed to figure that out if they aren't aware of it? See, it's going to cause a lot of arguments and just it'll create confusion and just not a good thing. You want people who are a bit more mature, who know themselves better, who know what they want, especially when it comes to a relationship. You don't tend to want someone who hasn't figured this stuff out, because then they'll be figuring it out with you and it can just create quite a lot of headaches. Now, I'm not saying you should never date someone who hasn't asked themselves these questions, who hasn't explored knowing themselves better, but in general, they just don't make for the best partners because of the fact that they're still figuring things out when they're with you. But I mean, you can still date them, just know that it will be a bit more difficult than it would be for someone who has spent the time to work on themselves in this regard. And now, the second thing here, this is a bit of a bigger one, is they may be needy. If somebody doesn't know themselves well, then that means they probably don't know what they bring to the table, which means they probably aren't aware of their worth. And with that, they're going to have probably pretty low self-worth, because if they don't know what they bring to the table, then how the hell are they going to have self-worth? That's something that you basically acquire by exploring who you are and figuring out what things make you unique from everyone else, what skills or what character traits you have that make you stand out from the crowd. And with that, you develop self-worth, because now you know, hey, I bring X, Y, and Z, whereas other people tend not to have these qualities, like loyalty and being super caring and that sort of thing, or even being a great cook. It's a bit of a rarity in today's day and age for both sexes. So just things like that. The more somebody knows themselves, the more self-worth they'll have, and that means they won't be needy. Or I should say, they'll be less needy, because neediness is kind of something that everybody has to some extent, but people who have worked on themselves more and who know what they bring to the table will have far less of it than somebody who has never taken the time to get to know themselves better. So, but you basically need to be aware of that before entering into anything long-term with these people, because their neediness can create problems, and it probably will make you lose attraction for them, because as I've said before in other videos and some of my text quotes or text posts on Instagram, neediness is pretty much one of the number one relationship killers. It's up there with insecurities, and well, neediness is pretty much a, how do I put it, a consequence of insecurities. It's a byproduct of insecurities pretty much. So neediness kills relationships. People who haven't taken the time to know themselves and know what they want in life, they're probably going to have a higher level of neediness than most people. So unless you have the patience to deal with that, you have to know that before going into anything long-term with them, because that neediness may become a problem at some point. And now, the next thing I have for you here is a bit more of a dangerous one. Not dangerous in the sense that your life would literally be at risk, but more what I mean is it's dangerous for long-term relationships. Because my next point here is that people who haven't taken the time to get to know themselves are probably high or more likely to cheat than most other people. And the reason why is because they don't know what they want. So if they don't know what they want, then if they're figuring that out while they're dating you, then they're going to be far more likely to become attracted to other people who may have a few things that, hey, they start realizing maybe they want those qualities in their partner, and they're going to be enticed by that because they haven't taken the time to figure out what it is that they truly want. So if somebody comes along that's just a bit more attractive than you, or maybe is able to fool them into believing that they have more qualities that are good qualities than you do, then this person will probably fall for that just because they haven't taken the time to work on themselves. So when they see a shiny new person, they're going to be more likely to want to go after that person. It's pretty much a psychological thing, and it is unfortunate. That's why, for the most part, the best partners are people who know themselves really well, because then they'll know if you have qualities that they find attractive, they're going to go for you because of those qualities, and they're going to know how rare they are, so they're not going to immediately become enticed by a shiny new person over there who maybe has like 2 out of the 10 qualities that they desire. But somebody who doesn't know themselves well, they may not ask themselves whether or not you are rare from, or that you stand out from the crowd, because they may not even be aware of how rare you could be and how rare your qualities could be, because they haven't taken the time to figure out what they actually want in someone. So I'm not saying that these people will always cheat or anything stupid like that. I'm just saying the chances of them cheating are probably higher than the average person, just because they haven't taken the time to get to know what they want. So if somebody comes along who seems very attractive in different ways, they're going to be a bit more enticed by that. Whereas the average person, I can't even really say that because I feel like the average person doesn't really work on themselves, but you get what I mean. They're not like high quality partners who will know whether or not you're rare, and they're not going to take that for granted. But people who don't know themselves, they probably will take you for granted. It's a byproduct of them not knowing what they want in life. So be careful with them. I wouldn't really suggest getting into a long-term relationship with them unless they're able to figure out how rare you are somewhere along the way before you get into a long-term relationship, because otherwise you just may not want to play the odds there, because they will have a higher likelihood of cheating on you. But anyway, on to the final thing I have here. And there are other things, but this is just the list that I wanted to create for this video. The final thing is that they may lack ambition, because if they don't know what they want in life, if they don't know themselves well enough to have that figured out already, then they're probably just going to be going through the motions. They may be working at some dead-end job and not really care because they haven't thought about whether or not they want more for themselves. And they're just going to be content with that and just basically live their life the way they've been living it for a while. And they're not really going to desire any change. See, the most ambitious people are people who know themselves incredibly well, because they know exactly what they want in life, so they're going to aim directly at that and work towards it. But if somebody has never figured out what they desire, if they haven't taken the time to get to know themselves better by meditating or just spending time alone, they probably won't be very ambitious. Now, not all of them will be like this, of course. Sometimes maybe they don't know themselves well, but somehow they actually do have an idea of where they want to go in life in terms of their career and that sort of thing. But for the most part, these people probably will lack a bit of ambition. Now, for the guys, that probably won't be too big of an issue. I've already spoke about in previous videos how us guys don't really care if a woman's ambitious, because we're supposed to be the money makers and the providers. So if she's making a lot of money, that doesn't really matter to us. I mean, it's a thing about male psychology, and it's something that women quite often don't realize. Men just don't really care about ambitious women. In fact, they more so want a woman who's going to be around to raise the kids well, as opposed to spending all this time on her career and having to hire babysitters and so on. But women, they'll definitely want an ambitious guy. So if a lady is dating a dude and he does not have any ambition, she's probably, or if he doesn't have any ambition, if he's not ambitious, there we go, that's a proper way of saying it, she probably will lose attraction for him, because he's supposed to be the provider. And if he doesn't have any ambition, then he probably won't be very good at that role. But anyway, so those are pretty much the reasons I have for you in this video as to why you shouldn't date people who, or why you should be careful, should I say, dating people who don't know themselves well. Now, I probably wouldn't really date people like this. I mean, it's just something I've learned to not waste time doing that, because usually it does end up going nowhere, and I just personally don't really feel like people who don't know themselves well are worth my time. But I mean, make your own decisions here. It is something you should be very aware of, and in general, you'll be able to tell if somebody doesn't know themselves well because there are going to be these signs for one. You'll be able to tell from that, but they just probably won't have a lot of self-awareness because people who know themselves well will of course have self-awareness with it, and they'll probably have a better idea of what they bring to the table. So if somebody is more confident, secure, and they have a high level of self-awareness, they probably know themselves a lot better than somebody who is lacking in those things. But anyway, I need to cut this video here before I start rambling. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like, comment, share. That's the easiest way you can support me, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Arrivederci.